Oh man, my boy Daniel is cooking right now. No. Let him cook. Let him cook. This is going somewhere, I promise, all right? I can see the vision. It's going somewhere. Okay, maybe things are getting a little bit weird, but stick with him. Stick with him. Daniel, buddy, you're kind of embarrassing me right now. I have absolutely no idea where this is going, and I told everybody to stick with you because I really thought you were going to bring this home, and admittedly, I'm a little bit confused with what's going on right now. Okay. I think Daniel brought it home. I think that was a win. I think he cooked here, maybe? Yeah, he cooked. See, I told you I knew what was going on. Just trust my boy, I think. Hi, and welcome back to Orbiting the Shelf. As always, I'm Matt, you're the audience, and today we are looking at Angel Down by Daniel Kraus, a book that is one giant run-on sentence. And I'm not joking, that's not a metaphor. It's quite literally one run-on sentence from the first word to the very last.
I think the biggest surprises are behind me. Dude, I warned you. I said I was going to do that if you did that again.
This book was quite literally engineered to give editors psychosis. I just know when bro was marketing this book to editors with his agent, they were like probably all having mental breakdowns. And it works. Against all odds, it works. And it doesn't feel like that long of a book because all you have to do is finish the first sentence. So jumping right into the review, if you've been here before, you know what's going on. This is my subjective review video for Angel Down, and my subjective reviews work as follows. One is a detriment to the genre. It's quite literally the worst thing that could ever be put out. I've only ever given one in my life. This is something you should probably be in jail for even creating. 5 is average. Don't be too hard on 5s. 80% of any content ever put out is a 5. 5 is decent, all right? Don't not buy a book just because I give it a 5. 10, on the other end of the spectrum, it literally redefines the genre. It sets new expectations, and it's a book that I come back to and think about frequently, and probably altered the course of my life just a little bit. Now, with that being said, if you don't want to know anything about the book, you just want to know the review, know if it's worth your time, money, Audible credit, or shelf space, I would give this book a hesitant 9 out of 10. I know what you're thinking, that's high. I've been a Debbie Downer lately. It feels so good to give a good glowing review for once. Oh my god, it is a weight lifted off my chest. That's all you need to know before you buy this book. Godspeed, angels be with you. Come back to this video when you're done and let me know your thoughts. Let me know if I was right or wrong. I have a feeling a lot of you are going to think I'm wrong on this one, and that's okay. Now, if you're somebody like me who both listens to and reads the written word, what version of this book is gonna be the best experience for you? And without a doubt, I can 100% say the audiobook. What would my audiobook rating be? Because these are separate from the book ratings. If you know, you know. The quality of an audiobook isn't always aligned with the quality of the book itself. And here I would give the audiobook an S, an S+, an S++. This goes above and beyond. This audiobook is not just some person with an AI voice reading at slow motion speeds and being taped onto a CD to be thrown on the bottom shelf of your local library's book on CD cart. No, this is an experience. Listening to this audiobook is like going to a play. Listening to this audiobook is like watching Hamilton live. The written word experience does not even compare to the audiobook experience. If you can stomach listening to an audiobook ever, don't even buy the book. Get this on Audible immediately, and I promise you will not regret it. This voice actor brings such a life to the book. It is an experience. Reading this book is probably okay. If I had just read this book, I might have given it a 7, but I opted to read it as little as possible and consume it mostly via the audiobook because it was just that good. The voice actor for this audiobook is Kirby Heyborne, and he knocked it out of the park. This book was very similar to what I imagine reading Beowulf back in the day was like. And the reason I say that is because the prose is damn near just poetic verse, like a poetic saga somehow written to fit modern sensibilities. It's very lyrical, it sings, it flows off the tongue, and it really does feel like you're reading a story in verse. It's very strange, and I think the audiobook brings that to life even more. And getting directly into things I liked about this book, this is the best first chapter I think I've ever read. Probably the best first chapter I've read since I was like in 4th grade reading the Percy Jackson Jackson book, and the prologue was like, if you're just a normal kid, feel free to listen to this and have fun, but if you're not, know they're coming after you. And you're like, oh my god, oh, I don't know what a hook is yet, but this has me. That's how I felt reading this book. Daniel Kraus will make sure this is a first chapter that sticks in your bones.
Hey, so how's the war going for you guys?
I can't wait to go back home and see my mom.
The prose was awesome, the character work was awesome. I really enjoyed his grasp of like World War II history and army history, and his passion for this time period definitely came through. And if he doesn't have one, then congratulations, you made it feel like you did. 2025 has been such a slow year that I really appreciated this book. And I think a lot of the times, media fails to capture the horrifying nature of either of the world wars. The level of destruction and slaughter the world had ever seen up to this point was nothing compared to the World War. I mean, some of the biggest wars in history didn't compare to the scale of the world wars and how many lives were lost and the brutality of it. You have to think, before World War II, wars were still being fought with like muskets and swords. People were still using swords before this point. And all of a sudden we have technological and engineering marvels, tanks weighing thousands of pounds, rolling through buildings and exploding dozens of people in one shot. I don't think we as modern humans can comprehend the horror of what those wars were like, especially coming from like barely post-industrial revolution to that point in human capability. That's insane. I don't think it's something you can really wrap your mind around as a modern day human looking back on history through a desensitized lens. And Daniel Kraus does an awesome job at just shoving your face in it and going, hey, World War II was a horror movie. It wasn't a history movie. It wasn't an action movie. It was horror. This is the closest thing you can experience to being in a horror movie as a human being. And as a veteran who served in the infantry with friends and family members who actually went to combat and deployed, I can pretty confidently say that modern day warfare has absolutely nothing on what veterans in World War I and II experienced. That was the peak of like horrific human destruction. And Daniel Kraus makes you feel that in your bones. And you know, I don't think we'll ever see something that horrifying ever again in human warfare. And hopefully I'm dead before I'm ever proven wrong, right? But I just loved how the essence of that time period was captured so well. And when it came to the characters, one thing that drives me crazy is that the general populace has this idea that veterans are all honorable heroes. Sure, maybe there's a few bad apples here and there, but they're so rare and so few and far between. And as someone who's lived in that world, whose whole family has lived in that world, I can say confidently, most infantry veterans, right? The guys fighting the wars, terrible f***ing people. We used to say you could trust an infantryman with your life, but never your car, your money, or your wife. And that's because the dudes who make their way to combat arms are either psychopaths or criminals or greatly misguided like myself. And the way that environment transforms you doesn't usually transform you for the better. So I loved seeing realistic characters who weren't heroes, who weren't, I don't know, the typical Steve Rogers Captain America persona of what warfighters are like. Warfighters are warfighters. The type of human who can do those things is not a pleasant person. And sure, every now and then, yeah, there is a hero. But I have thoughts on those because honestly, even when you do meet the famous heroes from the military, you walk away disappointed, but that's neither here nor there. Having characters who are grounded in reality in a book that grounds the reality of World War II in reality was awesome, and it really tickled me. And then the backdrop of World War II and trench warfare is such a phenomenal layup for a horror book. And for some reason, that's not something we see a lot. Sure, there's IPs like Trench Crusade and like, I don't know, the one World War II horror game that was supposed to come out but never did. It's such a layup setting, and it's awesome to see somebody doing something with it. Angel Down is like if Saving Private Ryan, a Hebrew mythology class, and the Book of Revelations got into a three-way bar fight on an acid trip. And the book was so good, I did something I never do, and I bought the physical version. I have no shelf space left, especially because my wife takes up up like literally our entire house with books, so I only buy the physical edition if something is really, really good. And sadly, I wasn't able to get a signed copy of this book. And even though it's not a perfect 10, and I was a little bit confused and a little bit lost and a little bit frustrated with the prose from time to time, it's going down in like my top 10 favorite books, possibly my top 5. Another thing I loved about this book, the sentence structure and just the structure of the book itself was so brave. It's so nice not reading something that just relies on gross utilitarian language to tell a story from A to B in order to appeal to our short attention spans. It felt like a stream of consciousness coming from somebody who's in an active PTSD episode, and it never relents. And I'm serious when I say it never relents. The structure of this book is bold and intense and unyielding. And I think that'll rub a lot of viewers the wrong way, especially a lot of the viewers who watch my videos, because a lot of you guys like traditional horror books, genre horror, and that's cool. That's what I vibe with mostly too. And I think this is going to be a risk that Daniel Kraus takes that probably irks a lot of people. It is so unorthodox, and I love that. It's not a safe book. It's not an easy sell. It's not easy genre fiction. It's like weird. It's its own thing, and I love it for that. It forces you into the mind of somebody quickly unraveling, experiencing an identity crisis, dealing with grief, dealing with strong emotions they have never really felt before, and it's a lot. The book is like a never-ending trigger warning for people with like PTSD or I don't know, any other mental illnesses. So if it's too much for you, if it's too intense, I get it. And there's a really strong emotional undercurrent going through everything, and the book sort of just trusts you to get it, which I love. It doesn't handhold, it doesn't over-explain. If you get it, you get it, and if you don't, you don't. And that is a bold risk. And that's coming from me, somebody who says, if a 5th grader can't kind of get your book and understand what's going on here, you failed. I think this is one of those rare moments where most people don't get what's going on here, and that's okay. Daniel Kraus really pulls that off. And the book starts off very tangible in scale. It's easy to grasp. Private Serial Bagger is a dirtbag. He's subjecting himself to burial details so he never has to go to the front line, and he's in World War II. Super easy to understand. And that scale, Daniel Kraus does not hold back in ramping it up as the book goes on. We're dealing with theology and metaphysics and guilt and justice and suffering and warfare and advancements in human technology and philosophy. It's kind of a lot, and I kind of loved it for that. And admittedly, it does get kind of confusing because that's a lot to take in, a lot to process, and the pacing does not give you time to do that at all. And I think it leaves you in a state, once you finish the book, that the characters are sort of in. Like you just walked away from the worst car crash of your life, and now you're processing it. And it might take you a few days or a week, and slowly the jumble of chaos that was this experience starts to unravel, but maybe not all of it does. And I think it's okay to feel lost sometimes when going into this book. Just like the characters, you're confused, you're in the fog of war, and you get lost, and I think you're sort of meant to do that. Or maybe I'm just stupid, who knows? And there's a lot of momentum and a lot of weird moments, but ultimately, I would just say, stick with it and give this book a chance. It's either really, really your thing or really, really not. And I am sort of on this end of the spectrum, and it was really my thing. Did I have anything I didn't like about it? Not really. I think sometimes we get a little too confusing or like a little too heavy-handed, but that's okay. This book is a piece of art, and that's how the art is meant to feel. And am I being a little bit of a pretentious book snob? Yeah, kinda. This book is equal parts war story, religious fable, a psychological deconstruction, and like a 40-chapter run-on sentence fever dream. But more importantly, it was the kind of book that brought me back to when I was a kid reading my favorite book for the first time ever. I remember being a child, very, very young, reading Ender's Game, and when I finished it, there was this pit in my stomach, and I remember being a kid going, man, these ideas are way too big for me right now, but I feel it here. And that's how this book left me feeling as a 26-year-old man. And that's something I haven't felt in a very long time. And maybe I just connect to it in a special way because of my personal biases and where I've been in life. And maybe you don't connect with it that way, and that's totally fine. Ultimately, this is just to say that he cooked. Daniel, you cooked. I don't know what you fed me, but it was seasoned. All in all, those are my thoughts on the book. Daniel Kraus has another novel named Whalefall that's been sitting on my shelf for a long time. I picked it up at Barnes & Noble in like Albuquerque on sale for like $3, and it looked interesting. Apparently there's like an MTV show about it or something about it. I'm definitely going to be checking that out. But all in all, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to me rant. I've been Matt, you've been great, and I'll see you next week. Bye.